Good morning. My name is Maureen Chung. Welcome to Daily Devotion of July the 23rd. The Bible passage is Judges chapter 6, verse 33 to 40, and the title is Gideon's Self-Doubt. Now all the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the Valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites to follow him. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also into Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, so that they too went up to meet them. Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand, as you have promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece, and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said." And that is what happened. Gideon rose early the next day. He squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowlful of water. Then Gideon said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece, but this time make the fleece dry and let the ground be covered with dew." That night God did so. Only the fleece was dry. All the ground was covered with dew. We met Gideon 2 days ago when we studied how God called him to lead Israel as a judge. That night, God gave Gideon a test to defy his father and clan who worshipped the Canaanite idols. Gideon passed the test as he destroyed the altar to Baal and the Asherah pole, making a sacrifice to God on a new altar with his father's mature bull. Gideon's years of leadership ran from 1162 BC to 1122 BC for 40 years. Today, we continue with the third episode in our mini-series on Gideon, who is the ideal judge who forms the central account. The sequence of the 5 major judges is: number 1, Ehud, 1309 to 1229 BC. Number 2, Deborah, 1209 to 1169 BC. Gideon, 1162 to 1122 BC. Jephthah, 1078 to 1072 BC, and number 5, Samson, 1075 to 1055 BC. Today, we see how God built up the faith of Gideon, an unlikely hero who had a serious case of self-doubt. Once again, the Midianites, Amalekites, and eastern herdsmen joined forces and crossed over the river Jordan to encamp in the Valley of Jezreel. We remember this to be the Kishon River Valley, not far from Mount Tabor, where Barak and Deborah fought Sisera, the commander of the army of King Jabin of Hazor. We should remember this river valley well because it is also known as the plain of Megiddo, where many great battles were to be fought. This is referenced in Revelation chapter 16, verse 16 as Armageddon, the mountain of Megiddo, symbolic of where the final war is fought before Christ's return. As Gideon saw the enemy's vast encampment, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he blew a trumpet to call the Israelites to war. The northern tribes answered his call, but he became doubtful and scared. To put it in a contemporary expression, Gideon might have said to himself, "Goodness gracious, what have I done? Is this for real? Are we really going into war?" I've said similar words to myself before. Gideon asked God for confirmation. His doubt was probably this: was I really filled with the Holy Spirit as I blew the trumpet for war? Or was I acting out of my flesh? He needed to check with God on this matter of going to war. Hence, he asked for the miracle of a wool fleece wet with dew while the ground of the threshing floor was dry. Then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said. Verse 37. This happened early the next day. But someone could have played a prank on him. So Gideon decided to authenticate the miracle by another miracle from God. He asked again, "Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with a fleece, but this time make the fleece dry and let the ground be covered with dew." Verse 39. Now this would be more difficult for the prankster to do if we had to wet the entire threshing floor at night. God gave his confirmation by miracle according to Gideon's request, and there was no more reason to doubt the Holy Spirit. The war was on. A few months into planting the third church of my involvement, I fell into despair and depression. Our target group was not easy to work with. There were refugee claimants and illegal residents from all over the world that were creative in their stories of hardship and persecution in their home countries. Some were still owing debts to their human smugglers. Some paid money to phony spouses who had Canadian citizenship, thereby hoping to obtain their own citizenship after a few years. Then they would get a divorce and apply for their real spouses to immigrate from their home countries. There were lies to contend with. When they needed help, they came to church. When they were settled, they left. As I saw barrenness in our church plant, I almost wanted to quit. But as I looked at our team of dedicated core members, I just couldn't tell them it was game over. They lifted up my spirits. This was sign number 1, the wet fleece on dry ground. I am the dry ground, and they are the wet fleece. Then in 1995, my alma mater, Ontario Theological Seminary, voted me as one of the Distinguished Alumni of the Year. Not that I was looking for accolades, but a gesture of endorsement from my former professors as a group was an encouragement that lifted my spirits. This was sign number 2, the dry fleece on wet ground. I am the dry fleece, and my alma mater is the wet ground. So I gingerly soldiered on. I have identified myself with the poorer grassroots blue-collar folks for a long, long time. I empathize with Gideon, who had a typical case of self-doubt. If God is not in it, we just don't stand a chance. Thanks and praise be unto God. My friend, just walk with God and listen to him and obey. Thank you for joining me, and may God bless you all. See you tomorrow. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you.